Hey everybody, welcome to Hat Hole Home Video, not Seth Rogen. That's me, not you. Actually, I guess it's all of us. Most of us. Most of us are not Seth Rogen, so I don't know why I get pointed out specifically for not being Seth Rogen. Look, today is a very special day. Today is another Reboot Dreamcasting. Huh? This is a fun thing that I like to do that I don't know if anybody else likes that I do, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I like to do it. It's Wizard Magazine when I was a teenager. Used to do like, you know, they'd say, oh, if they're gonna make an X-Men, this is before there were comic book movies, but they'd say like, oh, if they're gonna do an X-Men movie, like who would we cast in all the main roles? If they're gonna do a Spawn movie, who would we cast? And it was fun. It was always a fun thing to read through. And actually, they said Patrick Stewart should be Professor X long before Patrick Stewart ever was Professor X. So I just thought that was cool when it kind of came full circle. But that's what I like to do. I like to think about, you know, who would I cast? What would I do? And with all the Batman hubbub, I mean, I guess everybody talked about Batman a week ago because the new movie came out. But I was thinking about how much I wish Batman would go back to a simpler time, a time of the 60s camp Batman. Every Batman is, but what if we made it darker and grittier? What if we made it darker and grittier and more miserable? Cool, they're all fine films. I like them all. I like all Batman films for their own reasons. Yes, even Batman and Robin. I like them all for their own reasons. Some are better than others. But I would love if somebody had the guts, and I mean maybe with tonal shifts, Suicide Squad, just kind of the fun side of the Avengers and the MCU. I mean, not that the MCU doesn't get dark and gritty and depressing sometimes, but there's a lot of fun too, and a lot of energy, and plenty of comedy and camp mixed into everything. It sometimes boils more to the surface than at other times. I would love to see Batman return to that Adam West era 60s camp in some degree, like an updated version of it. Just something that embraces the comedy side of the Batman universe, the comedic incarnations, the campy incarnations. So without further ado, I've explained it enough. This is my idea for, and the way I did this, because I was cut myself off, for the characters, I tried to come up with both a who would I cast today if Warner Brothers gave me $100 million and said, you cast this movie, you make this movie, you're the decision maker in this household, who would you cast today? But then I also thought, like, if I could assemble, if I had a you know, a phone booth that was also a time machine, and I could travel through time and pluck actors out of anytime, anywhere, who would my dream cast be? So who's my current day dream cast and who's my all-time dream cast? Okay, get it? Here we go. And I apologize for looking at my phone. I feel like that makes me look very unprofessional. I was gonna write all these on note cards and like throw them Letterman style at the camera. But I don't got time for that. I got errands to run. I have a life that I live outside of this basement, and it's all boring. It's all boring errands that I have to run. But I still got to do it. Still got to do it. Snow in the driveway. And I should point out too, this is to some degree a remake of the Batman Adam West movie. So that was Joker, Penguin, Catwoman, Riddler teaming up against Batman in that movie. So that's who we're going to go through. So for Joker casting today, I think I would do Taika Waititi. I think, well, one is the thing about all of the picks for the most part is this is a comedy, and I'm really embracing the comedy aspect of it. I think I was tempted going in to kind of cast serious actors, but that can do comedy, and there's some of that mixed in. But I think the key is more great comedy people that can also do serious, that can also do a little drama, that can also be imposing when they need to be. And I think Taika Waititi is just incredibly gifted, but also he has that sort of physical, imposing Cesar Romero presence. I don't even know how tall he is. Maybe he's not super tall, but he has a presence that I feel like you could. I mean, granted, Tom Cruise is like 5 foot, and they make him look 6'3" in every movie. So I think that could be achieved through movie magic. But I love him, and I think he would make a really fun Joker. My all-time pick for Joker would be Spider-Man era Willem Dafoe. And I think I saw on YouTube somebody like deepfaked Joker makeup onto Willem Dafoe. I'm not talking about gritty, scary Willem Dafoe. Who he could do that. He could be a Chris Nolan Joker. Absolutely. He could totally do that. But when you watch Spider-Man, did I say Batman before, or did I say Spider-Man? I don't remember. But Spider-Man era Willem Dafoe, that character that he plays is so over the top and so cartoonish and so menacing, but in a fun way. It reminds me of when Freddy Krueger kind of became a parody of himself and started becoming like court jester Freddy. There's a little bit of that to it in a comic book way. So there you go. For Penguin, I think maybe this is a little cheating, but I'm going to go with it. I think Danny DeVito is obviously the Batman Returns Penguin is like my favorite Penguin of all time. But it really, Danny DeVito, great actor, he plays it like a monster. And there's like comedy mixed in, but he's playing it like he's a creature. And I would love to see Danny DeVito in a more silly version of Batman get to play more of a standard comedy crime boss version of Penguin. I always think of when Danny DeVito was in Death to Smoochie. I sort of I imagine him more like that. He plays it a little more serious, a little more heavy, but he's ultimately still just kind of like an underworld crime boss. And he would be... You have to think about the dynamic between these 4 villains also. So if you have characters that are really high highs, you have to balance that out with other villains that are a little more grounded, a little more connected to maybe the actual criminal underworld side, and I think that's what Penguin would be. Where Joker and Riddler, I think, are more over-the-top manic personalities to some degree, and they're wild cards. Whereas, to me, Penguin would be more like the connection to the resources of the underworld. So that's who I would pick for today. I think Danny DeVito could still do it today. My all-time pick would be Robin Williams. I think that I know for a long time he was rumored to have. He was gonna be Riddler, and then Jim Carrey became Riddler. And I don't know like all the behind the scenes of that. And he would have, at that time, he would have made a great Joker, or made a great Riddler. But, first of all, he's got that great schnoz. I mean, you really wouldn't even have to put makeup on him. You wouldn't have to do anything to him. He could do it all in the performance. You'd have to give him maybe like a sort of black balding slicked back hairline or something, but that would be about all you'd have to do. I think as we saw, Robin Williams could do really big broad comedy, he could do drama, and I think he could play an underworld crime boss like the Penguin really well. That would be my all-time. So for Catwoman, and obviously Julie Newmar is, for most people, the gold standard of 60s Catwoman. But I really also, because I grew up watching the old 60s TV show, I always really liked Eartha Kitt's version of Catwoman. I'll tell you what I don't like. She doesn't handle the sort of seductive side of Catwoman in the same way that other Catwomen did, the other actresses did, portraying Catwoman. And I didn't like when she would do the, like Julie Newmar would go like, perfect. And it would be like kind of, and Eartha Kitt would go, perfect. And that I didn't like. That I don't enjoy. But I really like her version of Catwoman. It sort of pushes the sort of the seductive feline physicality. It sort of pushes that to the side and is a more animated version of Catwoman. It's a performance more in line with, Frank Gorshin's Riddler and Cesar Romero's Joker. It's a more over-the-top performance, and I really like it. So, in some ways, I would like to see a blending of those two portrayals in like a perfect version of that character. So I was thinking, is it? I should have looked it up. Is it Ego Nwodum? I think it's Ego. It's not. I think at first I thought it was Ego. Andrew Dismukes, Punky Johnson, Ego. No, see, that sounds wrong. I think it's Ego Nwodum. But Ego Nwodum from SNL, obviously very beautiful. But I think she could handle, her character work. She can play really seductive characters. She can play like over-the-top characters. I think she could handle being a comic book villain, but also handle that seductive female physicality side and really bring it all, elevate all of it. So I think she would be great. I also think Michelle Rodriguez would be great, because I think Michelle Rodriguez is great in everything, and I would like to see her in more stuff. You don't see her in much. She must be a handful. but I always really like her, and I think she's another one. She's like super fun and can do kind of everything. I guess I would also put Elizabeth Olsen on that maybe list, because I think she is also just incredibly talented across the board. So those are, I guess all of those are kind of my, if I was casting it today, but also if it was my all-time. I think those are all solid picks for either. And then Riddler, with Riddler, it's really about the physicality, I feel like. You have to play him as incredibly smart and clever and devious. He's a trickster. He's a Loki kind of character. Not Marvel Loki, but like mythology Loki. So I kind of think Neil Patrick Harris would be really good. I think he physically fits the part. I think he could pull off a performance that's both very silly and smart, but devious and tricksy. Who did I have for my? I can't remember who I had for my all-time. Oh, Neil Patrick Harris was my all-time. Who I would also consider is Daniel Radcliffe, because I think, since Harry Potter, we've seen him take a lot of chances, do a lot of like very fun, manic roles, and I could definitely see. I could see him pulling off that character. And when you're talking about sort of the four villains stacked up next to each other, I like a tall Joker, kind of a short, round Penguin, probably a tall You know, she's got a shape to her, Catwoman. And I guess in my mind, Riddler is sort of somewhere in between. He's tall, but he's like always scrunched down, and he's like, you know, he's got that like that bouncy ball quality to him that it's almost like he's elastic. And I guess that's what Jim Carrey did really well in Batman Forever, is he really portrayed that sort of elastic physicality better than probably anybody could. But yeah, I think Daniel Radcliffe would be awesome. And I was thinking about Batman and Robin as well. And my current day pick is gonna just piss people off. So, because I kind of am pissed at myself that I think this would be a good idea. But I'll say my all-time pick would be 90s or early 90s Bill Murray. I think that would be so much fun. It'd be a complete curveball. It would really change what the movie is. It would really change what that character is, because I mean, he would just be basically being Bill Murray in a Batman suit. But I think you could really embrace like that this is a goof, like we're just having fun here kind of a thing. I think that would be amazing if you could have had like Groundhog Day. I guess Scrooged was earlier, but like Groundhog Day era Bill Murray putting on the suit, I think would have just been a blast. And then my current day pick, and you're gonna have to hear me out on this, you're gonna have to cut me a little slack on this, but I think this would work. Seth MacFarlane. I know everybody hates Seth MacFarlane, and I'm not saying, here's what I'll say: keep him away from the script, keep him away from the director's chair. He's not writing this, he's not directing this, he's starring in this. I think he would play a really fun, sort of squeaky clean superhero Batman. Another good one would be Patrick Warburton. That might not be current day. He might be a little, you know, maybe it would have been like Patrick Warburton in his prime, either when he was on Seinfeld or he did that Tick TV show, which I really liked. That I didn't see it at the time. I got the DVD after the show had already been canceled. But you know, that era, I think he would have played a really good. He was Buzz Lightyear in the cartoon. So yeah, that would be a great. I'm tempted, but again, we're talking like if we're selling people on this movie, we kind of need to, like, if we're having these bigger stars play the villains, like, we have to have a slightly bigger star. You know, we have to have a name that we can be like, look who's, you know, you don't go Patrick Warburton, like, you know, that's not a name they put up, lit up big on the marquee in front of, you know, Tika Waititi and Daniel Radcliffe, and who else did I say? Danny DeVito. I'm just saying. So like Adam West style, homaging that sort of like squeaky clean Batman, I think would be a lot of fun. And then you could work in, you know, I think you could kind of work in sort of the Brady Bunch movie sort of sense of humor, where there's a lot of like squeaky clean on the surface, but then there's like those subversions underneath the surface that you could play with. And then for Robin, I don't know kid actors. Like, I don't pay attention to kid actors. But you know who I really liked was, God, what's her name? Is it McKenna Grace, right? McKenna Grace from Ghostbusters Afterlife. And once again, think what you're gonna think. Like, same with SNL, same with Seth MacFarlane. You hate it, you hate it. But the one thing you cannot tell me, if you hated Ghostbusters Afterlife, you can't tell me that McKenna Grace wasn't the best part of the movie. I think she was really, really great. And, you know, again, I'm all for, you know, I was trying to come up with like a boy to play that role, but I was looking through all these lists of like kid actors and teen actors, and it's like I don't know who anybody is, and if I know who they are, it's one of the kids from Stranger Things, and I don't like any of those kids. That Wolfhard kid, I'm over. Like, please quit putting him in everything. Like, his time is past. He can become a real actor or go away. But him being the kid in everything, it's done. You're not a kid no more. Like, move on, do something. But yeah, I'm really out of like my depth when it comes to like who'd be a good kid to be in something. I have no idea, but McKenna Grace was really good, and I think she would be a really fun Robin. And Robin could be a boy, could be a girl. Also, I thought, as soon as I thought, oh, that would be a good fit, I realized you can't really say Boy Wonder anymore. You'd have to come up with some sort of, you know, fun little moniker. But, you know, you can't make a Batman omelet without breaking a few bat eggs. Bats lay eggs, right? They don't. I'm not stupid. In any case, I don't know. Those are my ideas. I have no smart way to end this. I would like to hear your ideas for who you think should play these roles. Also, the kind of expanded cast: Alfred, Commissioner Gordon, Chief O'Hara. I kind of thought Kenan Thompson would make a really fun Chief O'Hara, but you can't. You'd have to change the character's name. You don't meet. I'm just gonna say this, and this is a generality, and I don't know this for a fact, but I'm guessing you don't meet a lot of black guys on the street whose last name is O'Hara. So you'd probably have to change his name. But I think Kenan Thompson really brings the comedy and brings the fun, and I think he'd be fun to have. I guess he could be Commissioner Gordon. That might be all right. I just think he'd be fun. I just think he'd be fun. That's all. But let me know all of your guys' Dreamcast ideas for a 60s camp reboot of Batman. Otherwise, thank you everybody so much for watching, and thank you to the patrons who keep the pirate ship floating, and thank you to the subscribers, the likers, the lurkers, the commenters. Any way that you enjoy this channel, I'm glad that you do. So until next time, whether you are a dirty dog sleeping in the sun or an alley rat eating up the night, you know you are always welcome here at Hat Hole Home Video. Bye-bye.